Welcome to the Warehouse. Have you ever heard a sermon and thought, how in the world did he discover that? Or where did he get that idea? Every week at Cornerstone Church, two teams dig into the biblical text that'll be taught during our weekend services. We spend hours talking about the text, the context, the culture of the time, you name it. But you can't stuff all that into a 30-minute message. That's where we come in. We're going to show you the stuff in the warehouse that didn't make it to the stage. Hey, you guys ready to get awkward?
I suppose.
Here we go.
All right. Week 2, marriage series. Last week talked about friendship and how important that is. This week, we're diving into talking about intimacy. And so, Nathan, give us a little road map, because you guys listening, you just heard the word and you tightened up and you thought, oh man, this is going to be weird. You ain't felt nothing that we haven't felt. It's been a little bit awkward. We've been giggling a lot. And so we're going to try as hard as we can not to do that. But let's be honest, we're probably going to giggle a little bit. It will probably
happen.
Yeah. So Nathan, take us on a little roadmap of our discussion today.
Yeah. So for you guys who are tuning in to the Warehouse on a regular basis, you know that it's typically very exegetical. Like we're looking through a single text and we're digesting what the Bible has to say about something in a particular text. But for this marriage series, we're going a little bit more topical. We're looking at what does the Bible have to say about intimacy. And so we're going to look at a few passages. I think we've got 3 specific ones on the docket for today. Last week we tackled a few too many. There were a lot of passages on last week's.
Way too many.
Yeah. Hindsight's 2020.
We did not go into hindsight 2020.
We did not.
We're going to skip that one.
Should have had hindsight.
Ooh.
So anyway, today we're talking about intimacy. And in that, topically, we're not just talking sexual intimacy or physical intimacy, because intimacy is more than that. But it is also, it does include that. So we'll talk about intimacy in all of its facets, and specifically within the context of marriage. Although for you singles out there, there will surely be some things that will be helpful for you, whether it's just grasping God's intent for what marriage is supposed to look like, or whether it's grasping what your relationships can look like in some of the the non-physical ways and stuff. It will be helpful for all of us. So we're going to talk about intimacy, why it's such a struggle for people to be intimate, in all of its facets, and then we're going to look at specifically physical intimacy, emotional intimacy, intellectual intimacy, recreational intimacy, and spiritual intimacy, and just give some thoughts on those. And to kick it off, we're looking at right where it all began in Genesis 2. Jay, you want to read that for us?
I do indeed. Genesis 2:18 through 25. Then the Lord God said, "It is not good that the man should be alone. I'll make him a helper fit for him." Now out of the ground the Lord God had formed every beast of the field and every bird of the heavens, and brought them to the man to see what he would call them. And whatever the man called every living creature, that was its name. The man gave names to all livestock, and to the birds of the heavens, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helper fit for him. So the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon the man. While he slept, took one of his ribs and closed up its place with flesh. And the rib that the Lord God had taken from the man, he made it into a woman and brought her to the man. Then the man said, "This at last is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And the man and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed."
Yeah. So what do you guys see about that? It's a great opening passage, and it's coming obviously right after the description of the 7 days of creation, and then the author of Genesis kind of zooms in and looks at this specifically the creation of man and woman, and it's a really beautiful account because it's very personal, a lot more than God saying, "Let there be light," and there was light. He doesn't just say, "Let there be man," and there was man. It's very personal, even kind of intimate in this beginning. What do you guys see in the passage that you love?
I think Adam's reaction in verse 23, this at last, right? That he laid eyes on Eve and was blown away.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the thing that gets me.
For me, I love the fact of how it takes like the first 7 days was zoomed out, and then here he zooms in to let us know like what was going on and just how he needed someone for himself. And so just the whole, we were designed to do this together. And then the whole, and the man and his wife were both naked and not ashamed. Like that part is not just talking about them. Like there's way more into that, which Nathan, I think you had some really good things on that. Like what the...
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, like before the fall.
Thanks. I was just like, whenever Genesis says they're both naked and we're not ashamed, it's not just like, there's a lot more wrapped up in it than just the idea of like physical nudity. Like you can just tell that there's things about this that like they feel no shame around one another. They don't feel the need to hide from one another. It's like they know everything about each other, and they're comfortable. No need to hide. That naked and not ashamed piece. I think that not ashamed is a major part of this.
Yeah. Just in 24. So a man will leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife. I think it was King James that said cleave to his wife. That for thick and thin, they are holding fast, even though the tempest tosses them. They're there together, holding fast.
And it's kind of interesting. So you have to like recognize that this verse 24, therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. If you think about it, Adam and Eve didn't have a mom and a dad to leave. So it's one of those, this is like an editorial comment. It's the author looking back on this story and saying, because this is the way God designed it, that's why marriage matters so much. Which is just really beautiful. He's just saying like, because, Adam and Eve were made to be like one flesh, because God designed it this way, because God was the first marriage officiant, I guess. This is the way God wanted it, and that's why we leave and cleave.
And there has to be both. There has to be a leaving of the home of your family of origin, and there has to be a cleaving to the wife now of your new life.
Yeah, and something I didn't catch, I always thought that Adam was the one who like sat there and named like all of the animals in the field, but this is the first thing that he actually names. Is that right? Or am I misreading this?
Verse 20, the man gave names.
Yep. And Adam did not name any other animal after himself.
Right.
Sorry, that's where I was going with
No,
that.
it's fine. But I love that you're pointing out the order of this, because like what's happening is God made Adam and has given him like some dominion over the creation and stuff. And so all these animals parade in front of him. And what he's noticing is that they all have their helper, their mate, their pair. And he just realizes that he's alone. And then God says, that's not good. That's not good for man to be alone. I loved your quote last week that the first problem was not sin, it was solitude. Right? Yeah. The first thing that God said was not good. After saying everything else is good, he says it's not good for man to be alone.
Yeah. And we tend to forget how strong that is. So, and that in itself is also a message, not just for those married folk among us, that solitude is really so I guess long-lasting solitude, a solitude where we're
being a hermit,
perpetually, being a hermit, perpetually disconnected from people. Those short instances of solitude where we're refocusing with God, great, but where solitude it's an enemy, like sin is an enemy. Yeah, and so that was the beginning of our partnership, kind of like we talked about last week. And so for less than a chapter, there is this kind of intimacy
Yeah.
to where they were naked and unashamed, where they were totally laid bare. Their emotions, their spirits, their physicality, naked, not ashamed. And in Genesis 3, verse 7, we hear and read what happens when sin enters the world.
Yeah.
So then the eyes of both were opened. They knew that they were naked. They sewed fig leaves together and made themselves loincloths. And they heard the sound of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And the man and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God among the trees of the garden. But the Lord God called to the man and said to him, "Where are you?" And he said, "I heard the sound of you in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked and I hid myself."
So this is coming right after the fall. That's what happened in the gap between what we read.
Yeah.
That Satan has tempted Eve. She ate of the fruit. She gave some to Adam, and then that's where it picks up. The eyes of both were opened, and they knew they were naked. And I think this is so punchy because, like, whenever you see, back in chapter 2:25, the man and his wife are both naked and were not ashamed. I think that's a great, like, almost. It's at least a good example and almost edges on a definition of intimacy. Because there's like nothing hidden between you. There's a sense of closeness and
laid bare. Everything you have is laid bare.
Yeah.
Your heart, your mind.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so then with sin, the first thing to go is intimacy.
Yeah. Man. And so now we were vulnerable before the fall with each other and okay with it and confident even maybe.
Yeah.
But now the feeling of vulnerability is something that causes us fear and makes us hide.
Mm-hmm. And so you see it first, like they seem to be hiding from one another. Mm-hmm. And so that's like you just see as a result of the fall, like they're ashamed of the fact that they're naked before one another.
Yeah.
And so they try their best to cover themselves with fig leaves. And then you also read that their intimacy with God is damaged as well. They hide themselves from God. So now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they feel shame. They feel like they should not be able to be like honest with one another and transparent and around each other, or with God, which is just terrible because they had this close relationship with God before that. Like I can dream about now as far as like they were walking in the garden with him in the evenings and stuff, just having conversation.
And we long for that day to come again. We're able to be there with no barriers. But there it was. And I guess it never really hit me that they did clothe themselves before they heard God walking in Eden again. That it was that they couldn't be around themselves. Once they knew what was going on, they couldn't even be around themselves naked.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's like sin and shame are so connected to one another. And it's like they're not the same because sin is the activity or the like failure to measure up. Yeah. Shame is the feeling that follows it. And we can get a little messed up if we equate those two. Yeah. But so shame follows the sin there, and it damages their relationship with one another and with God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stephanie, you got anything that's standing out to you in this?
The only other part that I had was like back to the naked and unashamed part, which you've kind of already said, but means you have no sin. So to be naked then was that they had no sin, nothing to be rightly ashamed of, and nothing to be hiding. So they didn't even understand what sin was at this point. And so just the thought of like, they didn't need to hide from the Lord and they didn't need to hide from each other at that point. So it's just crazy. It's crazy.
It is.
And that's so vulnerable. Sorry.
Go on. No, go on.
No, I was just thinking like, that's just so vulnerable. Like vulnerable. I hate that word. But to just stand there, it's a tough one. Yeah. But to just stand there and imagine doing that, that's like allowing somebody to see you fully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and not being afraid of like,
What
I
they're
wonder what they
thinking.
think of me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I hid myself. Man, oh man. I just thinking all the years of hiding myself emotionally and hiding myself physically because of that shame that had come. Man, and how hard it is, even when you've tasted the grace of Jesus, how hard it is to unveil. How hard it's been for me anyway to unveil myself emotionally, even to the one that God has given as to be my helpmate. How difficult it's been. And then as we've gone along and I've gotten freedom from that shame over the years and been able to slowly unlock those rooms in my heart and let Rachel in, the kind of joy that's come because of that. Because we talked last week about friendship and how I was so locked up, man, hiding myself because of this, that didn't let her in those places. And so there wasn't that deep abiding friendship. Like I remember it hasn't been that long ago that I realized that we were just having a good time and laughing together. And I just kind of just looked over and I'm like, man, I love hearing your laugh. And her saying, I love you making me laugh. And that
That's
moment
cute.
of, oh man, one, like, man, I've been missing this for, a decade and a half. I can't believe this. And now remembering that, because those locked in rooms are opening up and the shame's being washed away, has been huge. And it is huge. And it's, I think they're perfectly tied together.
I totally agree. Do you guys think anything? So this is a little bit more like, biblical theology on a bigger scale. Do you guys think whenever you have them covering themselves, I see that and I hear like the way we most naturally, whenever the way we want to deal with sin is by trying to make it better ourselves. Right. So the fig leaves being kind of equated with like our own works.
Oh, wow.
Like we try to earn our way.
Yeah.
And it's not enough. And so then God ends up like making a covering for them later. He ends up killing
Out
an
of blood,
animal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just, it might be a stretch, but I see that what they actually needed was and that was just a substitute covering. Obviously the death of the animal did not make them righteous, but it points forward to the propitiation of Christ.
Yeah. But they didn't know that it wasn't good enough. Right.
Yeah.
They had this idea. All right, fig leaves were hidden.
Yeah.
And yet then again, they thought their fig leaves were adequate and didn't know that there was better, even there, better covering.
Hey, so I mean, this is going into application just a touch, but let's talk specifically for a minute about the ways that shame, like sin and shame, inhibit intimacy. And I do kind of want to put it in those categories of like, and we found this on a Desiring God article that we really liked. He lists out physical intimacy being important, emotional intimacy, intellectual intimacy, recreational intimacy, and spiritual intimacy. With that list, like, what are some ways that you guys have seen either in your own life, somebody else, just anecdotally, like how does sin inhibit intimacy? Jay, I think you gave a great example of like emotional intimacy, right? For you.
Yeah. Long story short, my parents got divorced when I was a freshman in high school, and I turned to food and I turned to porn to try to fill that longing for love and support. And growing up in the church, I knew that porn was wrong, and so I tried to build a wall around every bit of my sexual desires. And so nothing got in. And even when I got married, I get married to someone who is pure and clean and awesome. And in my head, anything sexual is bad and dirty. And my job is to protect my wife and keep her pristine, so I
Yeah,
thought
right.
like I can do that. But and so the two were separated partially because my heart was locked away. And
Wow.
that part locked too. And so I even kept her at arm's length. And that's why I'm really good at small talk and I'm really good at diverting conversations, because I didn't want to let anybody in.
Yeah.
And she could see that happening because one, she was that close, but two, she's just so discerning and smart and wonderful. But he said with gritted teeth. But so my heart was locked away, and so I couldn't share my fears with her and my anxieties and the things I was worried about, the things I was super happy about and super hopeful about. I couldn't share that stuff because it was all locked away, and that affected every other part of these facets of intimacy.
Yeah, that's so good. So at what point, and I think that's really interesting. You're hitting on kind of like the emotional intimacy and the way it's so tightly like related to physical intimacy.
Oh yeah.
And so like, what helped for you?
Oh man. So we were in another church, and my buddy was the youth pastor there, and I was volunteering with him in with junior high, in the junior high area. And one day he just had a huge fight with Rachel, and it was a Wednesday night, and it was time for youth. And so I was on the way to the church and just a mess of myself. And I walk in, and he saw that I was a mess of myself. And so we went to another room in the church, and he's just like, "What's up?" And I just and at the same time, the church, there was a therapist on staff for a little while, part-time. And so I just got in with him, and we just started talking about freedom that I just hadn't let Jesus give. And so part of the antidote was for me to start feeling everything. And I got to the point where commercials were making me just bawl like crazy. And so because of starting to talk through my old pains and and we went through almost like a Celebrate Recovery, but it was Saddleback's version. Oh no, that is Celebrate Recovery. And so working through those hurts and hangups that had led to habits, the first stage of me unloading my old hurts and stuff. And so that made me, and he talked like a pendulum. Like I had only allowed the pendulum to go, from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock on a clock face. And when it was designed to go from, 10 to 2.
Right.
And so part of my thing was I started feeling every emotion on the spectrum to an amount to where I was just, I got to the point where Rachel's like, "You got to stop crying at these commercials," because I had gone too far the other way.
That's funny.
That's good though. Like that you went through all of that for the health of your marriage and like to feel things. I think that's amazing.
Oh, yeah. I would still be there if I didn't have a wife who was dedicated not just to our marriage, but focused on seeing what the Bible says that a husband is supposed to be doing and pointing me to it and saying, "I love you. Here's what you're supposed to be doing."
She's a really good helper.
She's a lot of things.
I know. I love her.
Okay, so how else do you guys see sin damage intimacy? I think spiritual intimacy can be really awkward for couples sometimes. Like, I don't know. And this is the weirdest thing because, I'm a pastor and stuff.
You.
Yeah, me. I'm a pastor.
Hey,
congratulations. You did it.
Holy cow.
Thanks.
Hey guys, when you see Nathan, congratulate him.
But like still sometimes like my wife will ask me if I want to pray with her about something, and I'm a little bit reluctant, and I don't know why. Like there's something about it that feels a little bit awkward to me.
Yeah.
And I know it shouldn't. But like there's still a little bit of, I don't know. I guess she asks and I'm like, I probably should have been the one to ask. and I feel a little bit of shame there, or something tied with it.
Yeah.
Man,
I don't want to turn this into Jay's life story, but knowing that there's an issue that Rachel's going through, and me having that feeling of, it's time to go pray with her, for her, over her. And then the battle that takes place to get that from my brain to my mouth. Yeah. Sometimes it's crazy.
Yeah.
I know. Go pray for her. Go pray for her. Jay, what are you doing?
It's like
go
the simplest thing in the world, but like for whatever reason, there's like this, I don't know, living in a fallen world.
Yeah. And every time the Holy Spirit shows up and we feel his presence, and while, not everything is resolved, of course, there's a little bit more peace. There's a little bit of a relief and a release every time. He never fails to show up when we do it, but it's just a battle every time to do it.
You guys need to be encouraging more men to be praying with their spouses, because that's definitely a thing. Like,
hey, men, go pray with your spouse.
Yeah, I'm talking about like on
Pause
more.
it. Pause this podcast and go pray with your wife.
Yeah, it's important. Like, women love that, and they enjoy the time that their husband will take to like be like, can I just pray with you for a hot second?
Yeah. And knowing that, but it's still a battle to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're a pastor. I'm here.
It doesn't make any sense to be afraid of it, but it still happens. And I just think, again, we're talking about just God's intent was that a husband and wife would experience that naked and unashamed intimacy, where there would be no sense of that there would be no way I'd feel weird praying with my wife or being emotionally vulnerable with her, but I do because of the fall. Yeah. It's like, it takes a lot of like work and intentionality to push through that, to like acquire that kind of intimacy.
Yeah. And part of the problem is that we're scared.
Yeah.
Right? We got fear.
Yeah.
Which is a fun segue.
Yeah. I like what you did there.
1 John 4:18 was one of the verses that we had been chewing on. So it says, there is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. For fear has to do with punishment, and whoever fears has not been perfected in love. And let me tell you, we were talking about praying for me, praying for Rachel, you praying with Tia. There's a bit
Justin praying for me,
and Justin praying for you. Yeah. That there's fear there in some degree. There's some fear that I'm going to mess it up. I'm the husband. I'm going to mess this thing up. There's a little bit of that.
Yeah, this like commentary that I'm looking at right now says the completeness of love means we do not cower in fear before God, dreading his judgment either now or in the day of judgment. We know all the judgment we ever deserve, past, present, and future, was poured out onto Jesus on the cross. And that's just like so good, right? Like, we shouldn't have any type of fear. And I know this is talking about like fear standing before God, which going back to Adam and Eve into the garden, they were scared. And then I want to get into this big theological conversation. Well, so sorry, like God took us out of the garden because we could no longer be in his presence, right? So I always like, why didn't they poof?
Oh, why didn't they just disappear as soon as there was sin? Like, why didn't it destroy them? Is that what you're saying?
Because his presence is so holy. And like, it's so radiating.
Oh, why didn't his glory cause them to...
Yes, I said holy. And yes, you know what I meant.
I got you.
Yeah.
He told Moses that you have to hide him in the cleft of the rock and only show him his back.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, still, Adam and Eve, I don't think are seeing the fullness of God.
Yep,
they're still only
we'll
seeing...
never see the fullness, right?
Right,
So,
but they're still only seeing like what he chose to reveal to them.
That's cool.
Moment. I think like that's how I would say it.
And even a sign of grace that he was still there after they fell.
Yeah, he sought him out. Like, he didn't just say, peace out, you guys sinned. I told you not to.
Right.
So
He still came after him.
He's like gave them an opportunity to repent and like have restored intimacy and stuff.
Yeah. Because he knew the moment they did it, right? Like, because he's all knowing. So he knew, and yet he still chose to find them. Sorry. That's just like a little brain thought.
I like brain thoughts.
A brain thought that's little.
Brain thoughts.
A brain thought that's little, or a little brain thought.
Wow.
Okay.
That's insulting. So when we talk about perfect love casting out fear, I mean, it's not it. So that's obviously like it. Well, I shouldn't say obviously. That's talking about God's love, casting out fear.
Yeah.
It's not saying like, hey, Jay, if you really had perfect love for your wife. And so the idea is like whenever we really experience the love of God, like the more we grasp how good his love and how perfect it is for us, the less fear we'll have.
Yeah. How, like, when you just said that, hey, Jay, like perfect love for your wife, like that's a huge expectation and like a huge weight that would be put on somebody to have this like perfect love for someone else.
Which would bring back the shame
and
the guilt.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Thanks be to God. Like we don't carry that weight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so whenever I think about love, I mean, we talked briefly about, it's worth mentioning 1 Corinthians 13 because Paul was describing to the Corinthian church, what love looks like. And so when we think about God's love and the ways that we should be loving, it mentions that love is patient and kind. It does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. And I'll stop there. There's more great stuff after that. But I think whenever you hear that, it's like, oh yeah, that creates a safe space for intimacy.
Yeah.
Right? It totally makes sense that kind of love casts out fear, because if I know that whenever I come to you, you're going to be patient and kind, that you're not going to be envious or boastful or arrogant or rude, like makes intimacy a whole lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah. What other religion boasts of a God who also wants to be in an intimate relationship with us?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I just started some seminary classes, and I'm in my Old Testament class. One of the really fun things that we've had to do is go through like parallel creation accounts, like from the other cultures around Israel at the time, like the Enuma Elish.
Yeah.
And it's just really interesting because almost to a one, all of them have gods that were like duking it out, battling for control, and rather than a singular God who is perfectly in control of the whole thing. Yeah. And like some kind of like act of violence is what creates the world instead of an act of love and self-giving. And then the gods, whenever they create man, they do it because they're tired of having to work the ground and get their own food. So they create man to be their servants so that they can bring them food offerings and stuff, versus God, who does it not out of need, but out of abundance. He does it because he's like, I have so much goodness and grace and love to give to you. I need somebody to share it with, or I want somebody to share it with, I should say.
And goes even further. And Jesus doesn't call us servants anymore. He calls us friends.
Yes. So whenever I think about, I think just tying it back to how do we start to retrieve some of that intimacy in marriage? I think like looking at that list, recognizing that a real loving relationship is what creates the space for intimacy to develop. Looking at 1 Corinthians 13 and saying like, hey, am I creating a space that is, that's patient and kind? Yeah. And am I like doing my best to cultivate that kind of space for my wife or for in my relationship with my husband? Because everything else kind of flows out of that. The physical, emotional, intellectual, recreational, spiritual, all those kinds of intimacy flow out of a safe space, feeling, quote unquote, naked and unashamed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting. We're having the marriage series on the back of this Up and to the Right series that we talked about, because I really have during this last season of life really felt the difference between when I'm working on the up directional of my worship and my praying and my reading, and how that has impacted my out to especially Rachel.
Yeah.
And that's just as I'm praying and worshiping and reading more, that I am able more and more quickly to think and then act to pray with her when something's going on, for when something's going on. And man, how related those two things are, of our relationship with God impacting our relationships with people. And why wouldn't they? But specifically with our spouses.
Dude, I'm thinking about like how you can actually incorporate, like you can see how that applies even to your relationship with yourself as well. That inward aspect of it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about like, you know, the shame that you felt or the fear that you felt and the way that caused you to like restrict your emotions and stuff, which is ended up affecting Rachel. It's like you've got up, in, and out all right there.
Yeah. And my, oh man, yeah. Locking up my in caused me to not reach up and unable to reach out. Yeah. And
yeah,
I guess time warp. But if you haven't read Gentle and Lowly yet, even after Nathan's sermon week 1 of Up and to the Right, even after we talked about it several weeks after that, you guys need to go read Gentle and Lowly.
Not trying to heap shame on you if you haven't.
That's exactly right.
P.S.
Yeah. I need to go. We're going motivational speaker, not shame reaper.
Oh.
Ooh, that rhymed.
Ooh, that was good.
Jay loves some rhyming.
He does.
Stephanie, would you read Philippians 2, 3, and 4? Because I know that this is like one of your very favorite passages.
Yeah, Philippians 2 is for sure. Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interest, but also to the interest of others.
Why do you love this passage so much?
Because there's just so much goodness in Philippians 2. So I personally have my daughter memorizing the first 11 verses.
Nice.
But it's just so much of how we should act and respond. And I just love it. And then this personally I like because it is so fitting for marriage. When you look at all of the intimacy levels, especially like do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit. Like don't have like just what you want to be done for yourself. But how are you going to show love and kindness to other people? So I looked up like the dictionary definition of conceit is an excessively favorable opinion of one's own ability, importance, and wit, and so forth. When we live with the feeling that we are so important or so able or so talented, we are out of God's will. Because like that's like totally what so I think of arguments and disagreements that you may get in with your spouse. Like sometimes you have to just like lay aside your own, like I know everything for the sake of your marriage.
Yeah.
Hold on while I write that down.
Man, that hits me between the eyes. I don't know. I just feel like so often in conflict or whatever, I can just I can be in that space of being, thinking of myself as more significant. Like my opinion is right. I know I am. And yeah, if instead I would approach it with a little more humility, I think those disagreements would turn out a little differently, or at least be resolved a little more quickly. Yeah. I think this is such a great verse for any believer, not just people who are married. Cause
I was thinking of that too, because we've had a lot of conversations around our breakfast table as the kids are getting ready to launch out into school, and talking about this, especially Sydney with her friend group who 13-year-old, her friends, 13-year-old girls entering that stage of life when it seems like, man, girls are so quick to snipe at or attack or gossip about other girls, and encouraging Sydney to be one that's gonna treat others with respect and love others, and her be the one that will be supportive and uplifting and here, not only look into your own interests, but also to the interests of others.
Yeah. I think culturally we're just like, the world has a very opposite set of values there. Like people with the sharpest tongues, the ability to like put someone down to where they cannot get back up out of it. Like those are the people who get attention.
Yeah.
It's just terrible because like Can you imagine what the world would be like if more people lived like this, where it was in humility, count others more significant than yourself?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's huge for like every aspect.
Right.
Like so much. This blows me away so much. And again, that's why I love this.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to read all of Philippians 2, 1 through 11, but we don't have time for
We
that.
don't have time for that. So
Good though.
again, the reason we're referencing this in particular is because this is like, if we're thinking about how do we reclaim some intimacy in our
Yeah.
marriage, some of what was lost with the fall and that feeling of shame,
Yeah.
create a loving environment
Mm-hmm.
and choose to count your spouse more significant than you. Like
Yeah.
consider their needs first. And that plays out in every arena.
Yeah.
Of those intimacy levels. Like,
Yeah.
Well, and even how applying these two verses in particular, verses 3 and 4, to the Ephesians 5 passage or the
Mhm.
1 Peter 3 passage, and how many times husbands and wives, when they're not in a good spot, are using them as clubs, using those passages as clubs against each other, how we can come here and do nothing out of selfish ambition, count others more significant than
Yeah.
yourselves. As I am super imperfectly trying to love Rachel as Jesus loved his church. That just hit me as we're recording here, how I need to cover Ephesians 5 and 1 Peter 3 with Philippians 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
I had lunch yesterday with an amazing woman, and she gave me some like marriage advice, like not advice, but like just in the moments of whenever you're like in disagreements with one another. She said, don't get hysterical or historical.
Nice.
And I was like, that's good.
That's real good.
Yeah, I know. So I wanted to,
Hysterical or historical.
yeah.
So don't.
Yeah, flesh that out some.
Yeah,
Yes.
don't act out on emotion and don't bring up past hurts or past fights or arguments. And I'm like, man, I am like putting that in my pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good. And not just against each other, but also against ourselves. Don't
Oh,
get
yeah.
historical with myself.
Yeah.
Because I flubbed my words when I tried to pray for that one time. So I can't do it anymore because I'm going to mess it up.
Mhm.
Yeah. Don't get historical with them or you.
And you know who you are. Who said that? It's good.
So thank you
Yeah. Thanks, you.
for all. Does she
Thank
listen
you.
to this?
Yeah, she does.
All right.
So we know exactly who it is.
Because there's one person who listens to this. Oh, that's so sad. But you're worth it.
Okay, on to
Yep. Hey, intimacy is more than sex, but it's not less than sex.
We're going. Okay, hold on. Yep.
Oh, is that not where you thought?
No,
we were-
I was joking. We're fine.
she's strapping in. She's trying to
Yeah.
brace herself. Oh, here we go.
Push the eject button.
Yeah.
Oops. I just hit my microphone.
Yeah. And so let's be honest. This is uncomfortable for some of us, and for me, just personally. Hey, heck, I'll be the guinea pig. It's still uncomfortable for me because I'm still in that process of unlocking things and having freedom flow into those areas. And it's just still it's still awkward.
Yeah. It's also something like the church has historically not done a good job talking about sex.
Oh yeah.
Which is really terrible because we just then let the world talk about sex, which then reinforces the idea that it's not something that God designed, that God doesn't have anything to say about it. It's really just a worldly thing, which makes it then feel dirty and shameful.
Yeah.
Or it's just really terrible. When in reality, like the Bible has a lot to say about it and has a very high view of sex within marriage.
Yeah.
And we should just give the disclaimer, and we'll talk about it more on some weekends and stuff, that like the Bible is also, it's very clear that sex is designed to be between one man and one woman who are covenantally, united to one another in marriage. And so with this, I think I want to start with what are some of the purposes for sex that the Bible lists?
Sure. First and foremost, it's
Production.
multiplying. Yeah.
Yeah. Production. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Production.
I think it's normally reproduction.
Yeah,
but
it's fine. I like
I mean,
production.
hey, we've seen how many kids some of you guys have, and you're
Hey,
a factory in there.
Jay,
You,
Jay
specifically.
was looking at me during that entire diatribe. If you don't know,
reproduction, reproducing, like filling the world. There you go.
yes, I am doing my part in that.
You are.
Oh,
Shout out to
man.
my pal Olive.
yes.
Does Olive listen to the?
Olive does not, and I definitely would not let her listen to this one in particular. Olive is my 3-year-old daughter, by the way. Okay, so purposes of sex:
Yep.
procreation, reproduction, or production, if you prefer it that way.
Yeah.
You get that like right in the beginning, right, where God says, "Hey, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth." I mean, that's an obvious one. It's not the only one, though.
Yeah.
There's also the one flesh, like becoming of one flesh part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like unity.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of.
yeah,
Unifying a husband and a wife.
Yeah.
yeah. And it's. I don't have like stats off the top of my head with it, but it's really interesting, like what happens in your brain. Like there is a legitimate emotional connection, a bond that's formed in sexual intimacy. That it's really special. That's a great one. It's also for pleasure, right? So, and that's something that can be awkward to talk about, but it's, I think about, let's see, I'm going to pull up Proverbs 5. I don't think anybody wants to be the one to read this, so I'm going to read it.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm not going to make you. So Proverbs 5 says, "May your fountain be blessed, and may you rejoice in the wife of your youth. A loving doe, a graceful deer, may her breast satisfy you always. May you ever be intoxicated with her love." And so this is wisdom literature that's saying, like, this is the way God designed life to work, that a young man, a husband should be like, it's using words like satisfied, intoxicated, and specifically calling out like some of the, like it's very sexual in nature. It's saying you should enjoy your wife. It's a place for pleasure within marriage. And then I think, well, any more comments on that? I think.
Yeah, no, reference it again to the folks in the back.
Proverbs 5, 18 through 19.
Yeah.
And if you need any more convincing that sex is by design, it's supposed to be pleasurable, like read through Song of Solomon.
Yeah.
Because it's, very much a celebration of both God's love for his church, but also like a husband's love for his wife and a wife's love for her husband.
Aspirational for husbands and wives.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other comments on that one?
No.
Okay. So then let's talk 1 Corinthians 7 for a minute. Do you want to read that one, Jay?
Yes, I do. What with verse 5?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So 1 Corinthians 7, verse 5, "Do not deprive one another, except perhaps by agreement for a limited time, that you may devote yourselves to prayer, but then come together again so that Satan may not tempt you because of your lack of self-control."
Mm-hmm.
All of us know, because of your lack of self-control. It's definitely not something that's just something, a throwaway. Because of your lack of self-control, don't deprive one another, except perhaps by agreement for a limited time, that you may devote yourselves to prayer.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and there was something, I want to pull up the rest of that passage, because there was something else that I felt like was significant in that.
He then talked about
So
being
summarize
single.
go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's just after that. Oh, verse 4, "For the wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband. Likewise, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but the wife does."
Yeah, that's the other part I was thinking
so that's
about.
4, and then into 5 about not depriving one another.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And so the reason I liked drawing that out is the idea that that the husband's wife belongs to his wife. I'm sorry, the husband's body belongs to his wife, and the wife's body belongs to her husband. It's not about like having a right to like force yourself on your wife or your husband or something like that. What it's saying is that like that there should be this idea of like, I want to please my wife. My goal in having sex with my wife is like, I want to please her.
Yeah.
And like, and honestly, like that makes for amazing sex whenever the husband is doing everything that he can to please his wife and the wife is doing everything she can to please the husband.
Yeah.
Like you're giving of yourself. You're not just like seeking your own pleasure. And so I just really like that he draws that out in 1 Corinthians.
Yeah. I got the better end of that deal.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, darling.
I don't know where to go from there.
So uncomfortable.
Stephanie is going to be oddly silent for this conversation.
I'm like,
just having an awkward giggle here and there.
yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. And then, so you do see in here that it should be like regular,
Yeah.
regular occurrence. And that's going to differ couple to couple as far as like regularity, frequency, but it should be a regular thing in your marriage.
Yeah. So here, just like from reading it, some may take like the self-control part as like abstaining from sex. And that's not what this is meaning. It's not saying like, oh, you have so much self-control because you're not having sex with your spouse.
Right.
It's saying like you do it for a purpose and a reason, like to not have sex with your spouse. So just throwing that out there.
Do you have anything else?
You know, I'm just thinking about, I think to kind of tie it up a little bit with a bow, I think like it's important for us to recognize the interconnectedness of all of this intimacy. They're not to be taken in isolation. Like, so your sexual intimacy is directly related to like your level of emotional intimacy.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times you can get fixated on one, whether that's like, you're like, we don't feel like emotionally intimate. You might consider these other aspects of intimacy and like what you can do to pour into that. So not just saying like, if you don't feel close emotionally, you need to have sex,
Right.
But like the recreational intimacy.
I was going to bring that one up
Go for
too. Yeah, I just thought yesterday with us reading that article, I really enjoyed seeing the recreational one because it was talking about it's going and doing activities together, regardless if that's watching a movie, going mountain climbing, but enjoying the time that you have with your spouse of like laughing and joking. And that's something that we can do with our friends as well. Like, who doesn't like to laugh and joke and have a good time?
Yeah.
So, no.
Yeah, I find for me and Tia, like we really enjoy having some hobbies together. So like one of ours is we play board games. You guys know that. But I really like if I'm feeling some lacking intimacy, sometimes it's that we need to like play a game or just do something, be together.
Yeah. Yeah. Did she enjoy board games before, or was that something she adopted because you're a board game guy?
We both got into it at the same time.
Cool.
I was not a board gamer. She was not a board gamer. But we played one with a friend and we walked away. We're like, we both kind of like that.
Oh, fun.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we've started, so all of our kids are youth group age now. And when they're gone, we've just kind of started every now and then we'll just pull out a deck of cards and play Kings on the Corner.
Yeah.
And just talk as we're playing. And I never try to let her win, as I've been doing since we dated, but she usually does.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is interesting how it is all interconnected, and especially me, whose tendency is to lock things away. Those are the things that are just quick if I'm not being emotionally intimate, and if I'm not being recreationally relevant. Like those are some barometers that something's going on with me.
Yeah. And I think so intellectual intimacy, that would have to do with like sharing thoughts and talking through topics together, like sharing what's going on in your brain, as opposed to like the emotional intimacy would be sharing like what you're experiencing and feeling.
Yeah.
Both are super important. And so it's like, I really enjoy just talking through something I'm learning, Tia, whether it's something I read in the Bible or just an interesting factoid I've been reading about. It's like that kind of intimacy. I don't know. There's something special that happens there too.
I still feel like a toddler in this area of intimacy, and that too, realizing. I think I mentioned realizing how funny Rachel is, but also realizing, man, she is smart as a whip, and having fun just talking about things of life.
Yeah. Then we already talked about spiritual intimacy, the praying together, sharing what God's been doing in your life, encouraging one another, all those. I mean, sharing, reading the Word together, all those things. And so you start to get this full picture of this is what God designed intimacy in marriage to look like, that husband and wife would be engaging on all these levels in a way that there's no shame, nothing hidden, no distance, that it would be closeness in all these areas. Sin entered into the world and all these things were broken. And so now we have to struggle against our flesh and against the enemy to recover these things. And so I just want to encourage you guys who are listening, like, intimacy with your spouse is God's design for your marriage. Don't shy away from it. It is hard, but it's worth pursuing.
Yeah. So as we've been talking, as we wrap it up, as we've been studying these scriptures and the different types of intimacy, have you taken one thing that you're like, you know what, I'm going to try to do this?
For me, I would put it in the intellectual and recreational realm. I'm pretty good at I don't have as much of a problem with like the emotional intimacy, physical, spiritual stuff. I think the intellectual and recreational, like, I just really enjoy engaging topics with my wife, but we have 5 kids running around the house. So sometimes the intellectually stimulating conversations can be lacking.
Yeah.
And then once we put the kids to bed, sometimes we're beat enough that we'll turn on a TV show instead of having a conversation or playing a game or something, which is more recreational than watching a TV show. So I think, like, I just don't want to take the lazy way out.
So is it, so you have a tendency to not be able to shift up from 3-year-old conversation back up into adult
and I'm just like tired by the time we get the kids to bed. So it's just easier to path of least resistance is turn on a TV show.
Yep. Yeah. Man. Yeah. I think I'm walking away with this idea that all of these areas are barometers for how I'm doing in my heart. Because, not everybody has the temptation to lock up and not share, but how am I doing? Have I invited her to the table to play cards? Have I, how am I doing at praying for her when I feel it coming up, and how I can gauge how I'm doing, and two, how I'm serving Rachel. And man, that's been good.
Guys, we didn't giggle too much.
I think I only giggled a few times, especially with the production instead of reproduction.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
But that wasn't inappropriate.
Yeah, and we didn't like, I don't know.
Right.
But we did it.
So
I think we did it.
Guys.
Parker, did we do it?
Parker says we did it.
Man, we did it.
All right.
Guys, thanks so much. Yeah. Hey, if you also think it got done, send us a message. Warehouse, cornerstone.team, TEAM. It's been a while since I spelled it.
Oh.
Warehouse at cornerstone.team. Reach out to us. It's good to have you guys listening. If you would, comment, rate, share this thing so more people listen. This might be a weird one for people to start in on, but
it wasn't too weird.
Yeah.
It was a little weird.
Yeah, a little weird. But guys, thanks so much. And we will talk to you on the flip side.
Say bye, Nathan.
Bye.